Good morning. We are live. This is Patrick Lee. Time for Midweek Motivation Live this week. It is the week before Christmas 2024. I hope everyone is doing well this season and you're living blessed. We're going to talk about some business concepts today. Going to give people just a second to tune in here while we are doing that. Business success. One of the other areas in life that we all need to experience success in is business, correct? Absolutely correct. And we're going to be talking about something some of you may have heard about and many of you may not have. Today's topic, hidden secrets of the entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur, and that is called the needs analysis here on Midweek Motivation Live. People already tuning in to watch the show. Good morning. Hey, Pete. Good to see you. Today's show is going to be about the art of asking the right questions to achieve what you want in life. Every one of us are salesmen or saleswomen in one way, shape, or form. And no matter what it is that we're doing in life, our job, our career, our business, we are selling something. And there's this hidden secret behind that I think will help a lot of you as you move forward in your business life, in your job even, and potentially get promotions where you work. But that's really is finding out what people want. If you don't know what people want, you don't know how to provide that for them, or if you can. We're going to talk about that today here on Midweek Motivation Live, now on all major podcast platforms. Wherever you go to listen to or consume podcast content, you can find Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee. I'm super proud of that. The show continues to grow. If you watch the show also on YouTube in the afternoons, be sure and subscribe to the Midweek Motivation Live channel and click on the bell to get notifications every time we go live again. We're going to dive right into the show today. What is the art of needs analysis? Coming to you here from the new studio, my new offices on the southwest side of Amarillo, the South Park Office Park. And we have moved Patrick Lee Group offices and Midweek Motivation Live over there. These are my new digs. We're just about decorated and moved in. It's Christmas, if you can't tell. And we have some of the trappings around behind us. Don't know. Yeah, we've got the big Patrick Lee Group white and blue Christmas tree in the receiving office up front as well. More decor up there. And a little framed art back there on the wall. How do you like that? Little framed art on the old Samsung screen. That screen doubles as a production board for us back here in the inner sanctum where the magic happens, where we help people buy and sell homes, just like most of you that are watching the show. So super happy about that. We're going to be talking about the art of needs analysis today. I was listening to numerous podcasts on business lately. I watch a lot. I consume a lot of content. I don't watch a lot of TV. Many of you that know me know that. I don't watch a lot of TV shows. We like The Voice and maybe America's Got Talent and one or two other shows we'll watch a few episodes of, but I am generally watching YouTube, learning from people that have great podcasts and great channels that put out a lot of great content. So I'm always looking at increasing my knowledge in those ways, as opposed to mindlessly consuming content on regular TV shows. I think that they're mind numbing. No judgment on you if you love a good comedy. There's nothing wrong with watching some TV. I just choose to watch other things that'll help me in my business life and my personal life and my relationship. So I consume a lot of things that are going to be more interesting to help me grow and interest me. I'm sure that you guys do the same thing, right? Drinking some great coffee today in my Fire Slice pizza cup. Thank you, Cody and Gina. Gina watching the show today. Cody's probably watching, and some of the other guys down at the restaurant. Good coffee. Good coffee. And also want to announce that our first sponsor is coming online. I think we will be able to announce them next week. An amazing first paid sponsor of the Midweek Motivation Live show with Patrick Lee. Have some of the product here in my hands. I can't show it to you yet until they are ready to launch. I have been trying the products now for the last couple of weeks, have found them to be amazing, helpful to me. If you want to elevate wellness in your life, I suggest that you continue to watch the show. I believe next week we'll be ready to launch them live as a Christmas launch. First paid sponsor of Midweek Motivation Live. Hello, Miss Kayla. So good to see you watching today as well. The art of needs analysis, the secret to sales and business growth in today's market. Number one, understanding what is needs analysis. Really, what does it mean? The needs analysis is a series or a method of asking the client, asking the customer, asking the person in the relationship a series of key questions that are going to help you understand what it is that they need in their life that you may be able to help them with. Needs analysis is the foundation of effective sales and business growth. It helps us uncover what the customer truly wants and align our solution with their goals. Many times someone will tell you what they want. And if you'll simply take them at that statement and try to help them with that, you will find that as you get into the relationship, that person will become frustrated and start changing what they want or changing their mind. You will find that if you try to provide them with a solution, they will say that won't work, or I've tried that, or no, that's not what I want. And you will get frustrated and they will get frustrated. It can turn into a series of abrasive comments or attitudes where you get to the point where you're like, I thought you said this is what you wanted. But what that person said they wanted up front in a blanket statement was probably not at all exactly what they wanted. It was just some idea they were able to produce at the time that might define what they want, but it really wasn't what they wanted. So number one, we need to start learning to understand the core of needs analysis. What does it mean? In today's market, where more customers are more informed, they have more information at their fingertips, they're also more selective and picky. Understanding their core needs is what's going to set you apart in business, in relationships. Needs analysis is not about pitching. It's not about a sales pitch, but it's about active listening, strategic questioning, and building trust. Download this show and save this or take notes. And I believe that you will find all of these tips and strategies very effective and beneficial to you as you try to grow relationships and business. Okay. We want you to be motivated to success in all areas of your life. Not just relationships, but in relationships, not just in business, but also in business, right? That's the goal of the show, is to motivate you into all new things. So take notes. Maybe these things will help you. It's not, like I said, it's not about your pitch. A lot of people talk about practicing your pitch. What's your elevator pitch? You meet someone in the elevator, you basically have 30 seconds or less to develop a relationship, some kind of connection, and they'll ask you what you do. You'll ask them what they do, and you'll have a few seconds to actually give them a couple of statements about what you do, find out what they may have need of, or actively give them your contact information in the hopes that you've developed some kind of a connection and you may be able to provide a service or a product that they're going to need in the future. And you've made a contact, right? A connection. So doing that in a fast manner, in a quick manner, is very beneficial to us as we try to grow our businesses and relationships. It's not about a catchy pitch, but it's about saying something that's actually going to get their interest and show that you care about them. So as you listen to their responses, you start to build trust and rapport. When done right, it not only leads to higher conversions in sales, higher conversions in relationships, higher growth in your inner circle, maybe with people that you are trying to grow. So it not only leads those, but it also fosters long-term customer service relationships. Some questions you need to think about asking would be, what challenges are you currently facing in your business or in your life? I was at an event this weekend at my church. And as I was helping set up this event, some of the tables and the products and things we were putting out for all of the kids, we had a pancake event for Christmas at the church, and we fed over 400 people and put together a team of cooks and grills and griddles and servants. And the volunteers all came together. It was amazing. And as we were putting that event together, I just happened to be talking with one of my friends that attends the church. And as she started sharing some challenges she was having in her life, and I questioned her about those, she started to open up and share the things that she really needed in her life: prayer for healing, concern about a potential surgery that she was fixing to have this week, and some of her reservations about that, and maybe some fears. And as I started to ask her some questions about that, it became a very emotional conversation. And I was able to share with her some knowledge, some facts, some success stories that other people have had in their life and that I've had in my life, and was able to provide some comfort and solace and some actionable steps that she could take to overcome some of those fears and reservations. And that was really what it came down to, was utilizing these techniques, the things that we learn. If we learn these things and don't use them, are we not wasting them? Are we not here to be are we not blessed to be a blessing to others? So should we not have the ability or nurture or grow these techniques, these strategies, these talents and gifts that God gives us? Should we not continue to grow and nurture those to better our fellow man? I believe that I was able to be a blessing to this lady and to some other friends that day. The team came together and it was incredible. So learn to ask these kind of questions. If you're looking for a solution, what would an ideal solution look like for you? If you had your druthers, we used to say, or if you had your choice, what would the outcome actually be? And a lot of times when you ask them that, they will say, I really don't know. And here's a question that you may write this one down. And I've used this one a lot. And it goes like this: well, if you did know, give me an answer of what that would be. And they'll pause and they will look at you and say, I don't understand. I'm like, well, you just told me you didn't know. But in your mind, somewhere in the back of your mind, if you did know, you have an idea of what you would want that to look like. And if you can ask them that and rephrase that, it will jog their memory and they'll say, well, what I really want is this. If I had my way, if everything worked out ideally, I think it would look like this. Wonderful. What's prompting you to consider that answer? What is it about that answer that's going to cause you to believe that that would be successful in your mind, or that would be a win for you? And see, as you learn to start digging deeper and asking these kind of questions, you start learning what they really, really want, what they really desire. And this is good for sure in business when you're asking what the client that you cater to actually, what their ideal outcome would be. I work in real estate, right? And I'm in different types of leadership positions at other places, but my main business, my business is the Patrick Lee Group, and I help people buy and sell homes and property. We help them buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And we have to dig deep. We call this a lot. We do a depth charge or a deep dig on what their needs are. If someone just wants to sell a home, that's great. Well, why do you want to sell the home? That's the basic question, right? Carrie Brown, I miss you too, girl. Thank you so much for watching today. Carrie was really good at this. Carrie was a real estate agent as well, very successful for a few years, and now lives down in the Midland, Odessa area. Miss Carrie Brown, pastor's wife, wonderful friend, very good question asker. She was always good at that. I appreciate that about you, Miss Carrie. So asking these questions, I believe, is highly beneficial at learning to understand what it is that the person wants. Number two, that one of the parts of this that's the most important, I believe, is the art of active listening. Active listening is more than just hearing. It's about fully engaging with the customer or the client or the friend to understand their emotions, their priorities, and concerns about what your conversation is about. When you're actively listening to somebody, you demonstrate genuine interest, making the customer feel valued. How many of us are in a conversation with people at lunch and they're basically watching the sports event going on the TV behind you, right? If you go to a sports restaurant, we love going to a place here called House Divided, and the kids in the family went to competing schools, so they were called a House Divided, and they have all of these different TVs all around the room, and the food is great. They have a large selection. It's always cooked well, so we like going there. But sometimes when you're there with a group of friends and you're trying to have a conversation, they're watching the local football team lose a game behind you, and it's very distracting. Or they're watching they're watching Chive TV, right? And Chive TV is fun when you have time to watch some of those things. I can't watch those kind of falls. When people fall off of a skateboard and do face plants and things like that, it hurts my heart, and I just can't watch that. Some people love watching that, and they get a good laugh because people are, they're falling and hurting themselves. I just don't find pleasure in that. It hurts me in the heart when I see people get injured like that. So I don't watch those. But I try to put the phone down, or they're on your cell phone, right? And you're checking messages and you're like, hey, keep talking. I'm listening. I'm just trying to multitask here. And I actually believe that what you're doing is multi-slacking, not multitasking. You're really not fully engaged. You're really not paying attention to either one. And you can't really come to a result based on the conversation you're having, because you're not fully engaged in what they are trying to tell you. If you're not actively listening, you're not demonstrating genuine interest. You need to make the person you're talking to feel valued. Use verbal and nonverbal cues like paraphrasing or repeating their question or their statement back to them and saying, I understand, but what I understand about what you just said was this. Does that make sense? Is that what you're saying to me? And they can verify or correct that. Make the customer feel like what they're saying is valuable to you, right? Pete says asking open-ended questions. Yes, definitely. Asking open-ended questions is one of the other parts of active listening. When you ask them the open-ended question, you give them the ability to answer a yes or no, or respond with more about what their answer is. Then asking the follow-up question to show that you're truly interested. Okay, so what I understand about what you just said is this. Does it make sense that if I were to provide this, that would make sense, or that would be of value to you? And they can answer yes or no, and you can move on down the road forward in the conversation. And then also avoid interrupting or jumping in to a pitch or an answer too soon. You need to let the customer, the client, or the friend kind of be the guide. You're there to seek out an answer, right? And a lot of times we have the tendency to think we know what to say next, and we're thinking about that before the person has actually finished what they're saying. And if you jump in too often and interrupt what they're saying to start providing a pitch or an answer or a remedy, they get the feeling that you're truly not interested in them. You just want to be seen as smarter, or you're just trying to sell them on something. Even if it's just an idea, you truly need to let the customer guide the conversation. Even if, and here's the sales part of this, while we're doing needs analysis, you truly are trying to find what they need, but, or however, and you can effectively um, move the conversation into the direction of the eventual answer you're going to give them, sometimes sooner on in the conversation than they even understand. You may start to understand pretty much what their need is, what the service is they may need, what the answer to the question is they may need, sooner than they do. And you can start to direct the question into a logical progression of a worthwhile answer. And ask them these questions like, can you elaborate on what you just told me? Can you elaborate or tell me more about what your concern is about the issue you're going through? How has this issue impacted you personally or professionally in your business? And what would be a good result of how to change that? Or if we were able to change that and turn it around, what would that look like if we were successful? And then I would ask them things like, what would you say is the most important outcome? We can come up with 2 or 3 acceptable outcomes, but which one would be best? And if they say, again, if they say, I don't know, say, well, if you did know, which one of those outcomes would be the best for you? And really give them, and then a pause for effect, and let them think about it, because the mind truly is a lot more intelligent sometimes than we give ourselves credit for. We just need to be asked the right question to break the train of thought that we find ourselves in, the rut thinking that we get into. We need to break out of that pattern and start thinking different thoughts. And if you just jog the mind with the right question, you can jog it out of that rut and get it to start coming up with answers already. Number 3, uncovering explicit and implicit needs. Patrick, what in the world are you talking about? We're not talking about explicit content. Okay. Cody says this all the time. You're giving away all my secrets. Cody's a good friend, and Cody's a very successful businessman. Cody and Gina both at Fire Slice Pizza for these reasons. Cody's in my top 5. You want to know why the Blairs are in my top 5? For this reason. We've done multiple shows where we're telling insider secrets of success, and Cody's like, stop it. You're going to give all my secrets away to my competitors. But it doesn't matter. When you are as good as you are and you start to employ these tactics in your business, you cannot help but be successful. When you start to utilize these tactics and strategies in your relationships, in your church, in your life, in your family, you cannot help but be successful, because these are time tried tactics, strategies, lessons that have been effective for generations. But customers often communicate explicit needs, what they think they want, like at the beginning of the show, we talked about, where they give you a generic answer. But as you start to dig deep, you start to understand more implicit needs. They start to articulate these to you as you ask more questions. The underlying problems driving their decisions usually can be found out as you ask more questions. For example, a company might ask for software to increase their efficiency, when all along it's not software they need, it's motivation for the employee, right? Or the right mindset around how to utilize the software that you already have, right? So you may find out that you're experiencing employee burnout, and you think that software might help it, but that's really not the problem. By probing deeper and asking more questions, you uncover these hidden motivations, the implicit needs that people may not tell you up front, right? And this will in turn allow you to offer a tailored solution that can exceed their expectations. I would ask them something like, why is this software issue important to address now? And as they start to give you answers in that, you can start to understand maybe some of the pushback, some of the resistance to the existing software they have. Maybe it's a resistance to a certain management team that is over these people who are trying to push them harder in the wrong direction, and they're just resistant to that. Another question would be, well, what's worked in the past and what hasn't worked in the past? And maybe you'll understand that those people had a different leader and they worked better for the leader, and now the new leader is the problem. You'll find out numerous things people will tell you as you start to ask better questions. Another question would be, what's your biggest fear about the situation now and its ultimate outcome? What do you believe the outcome will be if things don't change? And if you dig deep on that with 3 or 4 or 10 more repeating questions consistent with that train of thought, you will start finding out what their biggest fear is. One of the 2 things that it's not actually becoming, it's not one of the topics in the show, but we can include it in this. Understanding explicit and implicit needs is another thing that we've talked about a lot in the business world. And those are the 2 biggest motivators in people's life, and those are pleasure and pain. So one of the best ways to handle a situation when you're trying to find out an answer to a problem is, can I move this person closer to pleasure? And if that person is not motivated by being moved or directed or brought closer to a pleasure point in their life, then I change strategies and I start trying to find ways to express what their biggest pain point would be. And a good example for that, just off at the top of my head, would be the home sale. Um, your goal, your ultimate goal to sell your house, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is you want to be in South Texas, and you actually wanted to be in South Texas by spring break of next year. Why is that? Well, my kids and grandkids live down there, and we love to go to Canyon Lake in San Antonio, and take the kids on a fishing trip. The sun's going to be out; it's going to be beautiful down there. And our goal really is to get to South Texas by spring break. And that would be wonderful. The fuzzy, all of the warm, fuzzy feelings are there. They're going to be close to family, kids and grandkids. They can go on trips and vacations together. Well, that's wonderful, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Why don't we go ahead and get your house on the market now and hopefully get you down there at that point? Wouldn't that be wonderful? And yes, well, but they may have a hesitation. So then if that you've gone down that road in that conversation and they're hesitant to list the home, maybe they don't understand you as well, that you don't have a good enough relationship yet, and you need to ask a few more rapport building questions. But you could then turn tactics and say, right, what would be the worst thing that could happen? How would you feel if you were not able to get down there by spring break and sell your home and be around the kids? And the wife may look at the husband and say, that would really make me unhappy because we've been talking about this for a long time. And I understand maybe the market is not as good as it once was. And that would tell me we need to list the home at a little bit of a lesser price to get it sold in a timely manner to achieve our goal. But I would really hate to not be there by spring break. See, we've gone from trying to move them towards the pleasure point and enlarging the pain point, right? And it's not that we're trying to manipulate them, but we've understand what their end goal is. And if we can't get them to be motivated to act and achieve what they're telling us they really want in implicit ways, we have to go back to, well, if this did not work out for you and you were not able to achieve your goal by spring break, how would that make you feel? And then you move them towards that pain point and they understand you are right. And in the end, they'll reduce the price. You'll put it on the market. You'll get it sold and they're going to make enough money to be happy. But the biggest happiness is going to come when they're actually down there at Canyon Lake with their kids and grandkids fishing for trout or bass or whatever, right? So you've used the two motivators of pleasure and pain to get them to react, to go ahead and achieve, which was their goal. They didn't tell you explicitly, but during the conversation, implicitly, they shared with you what they really wanted. And you used those two strategies, pleasure and pain, to get them to come to the decision they need to make ultimately to sell the house at a fair price on the market, takes care of them financially, but helps them achieve their goal of being where they want to be at the time they want to be there. Does that make sense? Yes, Miss Carrie. Work on becoming a great communicator in all areas of life. Amen. I agree. Thank you so much. And then number 4, using emotional intelligence to connect with people. Sales and relationship building is a people-centric thing. Emotional intelligence, your EQ, plays a critical role in understanding and connecting with customers and friends. By empathizing with their situation, adapting to their communication style, and responding to their emotions without using your emotions, you build rapport and trust. Customers are more likely to buy from someone who understands their feelings and offers solutions with their best interest in mind, not your best interest in mind. Questions you might want to ask a person: how does this situation make you feel? What would solving this issue in your business or your relationship mean for you personally? Would it help you grow? Would it give you more contentment? Then another question you might ask them would be, what factors are most important to you in making this decision? And you will find out what people are motivated pretty quickly by asking them that question. And some of those factors could be, what factors are most important to you in making this decision? Well, the real estate example would be, I want my kids and grandkids to have the enjoyment, and me to have the enjoyment of being able to live the remaining part of my life around my family. That could be a huge factor in their decision making process, right? In your line of business, it could be very simple, something such as, if I were able to provide the right software to my company, my people would have an easier time at work. They wouldn't feel so stressed. They can get their job done better, right? And then they're going to be more fulfilled. That's a major factor. But the factor, that your underlying factor in that answer to that question is, I want my employees to feel more fulfilled, right? It's not the software. The software is a tool. The factor is, I want to have fulfilled employees working at my company, people that are happy. That's going to bring longevity. They're going to stay with me longer. So that using this emotional intelligence in these conversations that you're having and the questions that you're asking is so much more important than an IQ, not your intelligence. So what we're doing is we're raising our thinking IQ by using our emotional our EQ, right? There you go. Cody says makes total sense. That, see, if it makes sense to Cody, it makes sense to everybody. Love you, brother. Just kidding. That's awesome. Sometimes snarky jokes like that just pop into my head. Thank you, Cody. I appreciate that. And then number 5, present solutions based on true understanding. Once you have done the depth charge with this person, with this business, with this friend, you have learned and gathered great new insights through using the needs analysis. Present your solution at that time in a way that directly addresses the customer's stated, their explicit, and some of their unstated or implicit needs. Use their own language, things that they have shared with you, to repeat these things back to them, and then show them that you understand that your solutions would directly address their need, right? As you're using their own statements and answers back to them, it frames your value proposition to them. It shows how your product or your service or your relationship solution will solve their problem. It makes their life easier and helps them achieve their goals. Avoid using generic pitches. And some of us in the real estate world have adopted so many cliches that I just cringe when I go into social media and the real estate quote unquote mastermind groups are full of brand new agents or older agents asking ridiculously base questions to a supposed group of people that are extremely knowledgeable and successful. And you see the answers that come out, and there's all of the cliches that realtors love to say, and they just drive me nuts, and I just scroll on by, right? um, they're just, some of them are just ridiculous. If people just want to give you cliche or pat answers to things when you've had this conversation about what your needs are, you found that that person really wasn't actively listening. They weren't being empathetic to you and what your needs were. They probably don't have an answer or a solution that's going to meet your need. So it may be at that point that we, as the people trying to do this needs analysis, need to go back and watch Midweek Motivation live with Patrick Lee and watch the show on the needs analysis and why it's so important. Some of the questions you would ask those people as you're providing these tailored responses or remedies to their unique situations would be, well, does this solution make sense to you? Does it address what we discussed earlier, as you're repeating back some of their answers to them? Another question would be, well, how do you see this fitting into your goals or your agenda or your timeline? Does that make sense? What other questions or concerns can I clarify for you about my solution or my answer to your problem? And then respond to that with active listening again. And maybe you can simmer down or condense those responses into the answer that's going to be perfect for them. This is all done through part of the needs analysis. In today's fast-paced market, needs analysis isn't just a tool. It's not just a catchy phrase. A lot of you that watch personal development podcasts, listen to podcasts and watch videos or read books, you don't even come across this tactic that often, the needs analysis. Only those of you that truly have a penchant or a desire, an incredible desire to be successful, to be a great people person, to be able to connect with others, to be an answer man or an answer woman, actually understand the needs analysis. But to be successful in life, I believe that getting this strategy down is absolutely critical to your success. It's not just a tool, it's a life way, a life changing strategy. It's almost a philosophy. It transforms the way we think from the average pitch man. It changes us from being that kind of a guy that's seen as a used car salesman. No insult to used car salesmen. I know some really good ones, but that used car salesman mentality has always been the catchy pitch, the cliches, the pushiness that people always avoid. And in the business world and the relationship world, a lot of times you're meeting and talking to people that you've never met, and you need to find a way to connect with them in a quick manner. And utilizing the needs analysis strategy will change your life. It's absolutely transformed mine. It takes me away from being seen just as a salesman to a trusted advisor. In the real estate world, where I happen to work at EXP Realty, I am part of a group of nearly 10,000 agents. We're called the Honey Badgers. We're all students of the National Association of Expert Advisors. And as opposed to being credited through like the state or the nation as a GRI, when a lot of times you'll see a realtor with a lot of abbreviations after their name, and they'll be like GRI, ABR, CRS. And GRI means I'm a graduate of the Realtor Institute. And I'm like, well, when I got my real estate license, I'm already a graduate of the Realtor Institute. I got my license at the Austin Institute of Real Estate, which is now the Texas Real Estate School in Austin, Texas. I've already graduated that. And that means I already have that designation, but the state doesn't give you the designation unless you go take another course that repeats what you've already just learned. And then they say, well, you're a graduate of the Realtor Institute. I'm like, I'm sorry, I already was. Okay. So at the National Association of Expert Advisors, we go into deep diving boot camp about all the tactics, the strategies, the knowledge and education we need to garner to be a trusted advisor to our clients, not just a salesman. Anyone can be a salesman at some level, but you truly want to become that trusted advisor in your line of work, in your relationships, and have those deep, meaningful conversations where you can actually provide answers and solutions that are meaningful to your friends and clients, right? We want to actively listen. We want to uncover their hidden motivations, and we want to connect with them using emotional intelligence. And when you do, you create solutions that resonate and relationships that last forever. Here's my challenge to you this week. Share your best strategies for uncovering your customers' needs on social media. I dare you. Go to your social media page and share a strategy that you use on your page and just say, hey, here at XYZ company, one of the strategies we use or one of the tools that we use that we feel best benefits our customers is this. And then lay it out there on social media and see if that doesn't gather you some comments, some trust, some new customers, some new clients, maybe some new friends. And then I would ask you to respond back to me and say, how has the needs analysis impacted your sales success? Maybe you've already been utilizing this in your business. And if this has changed the way that you do business, drop me a line. Let me know. Put it in the comments underneath this show. Reach out to me. Everyone that knows who I am, you can slide into my DMs. You know how to get a hold of me. Give me a call, give me a text, maybe, and let me know how some of these needs analysis strategies have impacted your success in your business, in your relationships as well. As always, you know me, Patrick Lee. I'm always here trying to help you grow, help motivate you to success in every area of life. If you can help me, please go to wherever you can, where you consume your podcast content, whether you watch the show on Apple iTunes or you listen to the show on Stitcher or Spotify. Drop in there, give me a review of the show. Every platform doesn't allow you to do that, but many of them do. And please be sure and drop me a 5-star review. If you watch the show on the Midweek Motivation Live channel on YouTube, go in there and drop me a comment, like the show as well. Go in and give me a review on that as well. I would sure appreciate it. It's nearly Christmas. We will be having a live show on Christmas Day next week. How crazy is that? We will be doing a special Christmas show next week. It's not going to be long and take a lot of your time, but I do want to put a show out for you next week as well. Remember, people, courage begins at the end of your comfort zone. Go out there and be a little uncomfortable today. Learn to use the needs analysis and find out if you can't develop closer relationships, more meaningful business relationships, increases in sales. All of these things can help us become more successful in life. Until next time, I love you guys. Bonus tip for the day: if you plan to do more, you will do more. Do it. I appreciate y'all. See you next time. Bye-bye.